Hello, welcome to God Family Politics. You're here with Dr. Tyra Hodge and a new friend I just met, Nina May. And the interesting thing is that Miss May and we do not know each other. Is that correct or not, Miss May?
Exactly right. So I'm looking forward to getting to know you for sure.
Yes, but I did hear this that Nina May, she is involved with something called reparations. And so when I've heard of reparations, it's talking about a certain group of people wanting to be paid back for putting in sweat equity into our country. And so I really, that really struck my attention, and I we're going to go with it. We're going to go with it. Tell us about reparation.
Well, reparations in the context of we're referring to it is based on what Gavin Newsom just made an announcement about of giving people with I don't know, skin tone, color, whatever like that, $250,000. And I guess the people that would pay for it would be people without a skin color. And it just seems kind of ridiculous because if it is based on slavery, there's not a person today that lived during slavery, the time of the Civil War. There's not a person that held slaves that's alive today. So it's got to be something even beyond that. And the thing is, too, and our documentary that we have is called Reparations, Who Should Pay, looks at who should pay if this happens. And it's kind of like if you had a case before a judge, you'd have to bring the evidence. And so I would say, great, let's bring it on. Let's have that discussion. Let's have that trial, so to speak. And here's what they would find. They would find that the Democrat Party started a war in this country, divided the nation with blood over the issue of slavery. They wanted to keep slavery alive. Although it had been outlawed for a few decades, they wanted to keep it alive. The Republicans, which were running the country at that time, said, no, slavery's wrong and we need to abolish it. We need to end it. So in 1854, the Republican Party was founded as the Abolitionist Party. They had 9 planks in their first platform, 6 of which dealt with emancipation, equal rights, voting rights, immigration, everything you could possibly imagine that should have been done years before that. But because the Democrats were in charge, it was not done. So again, the Democrats decided they were going to divide the nation on the issue of slavery through a war. I mean, literally pick up arms, fight your fellow countrymen in order for you to keep your slaves on your plantation. So if there is reparations, it should not be the people that are descendants of those Union soldiers that gave their
Right.
to liberate the slaves. It should not be a single Republican, because the Republicans were the party of Lincoln, the party of abolition. A lot of people don't realize Lincoln was the very first Republican president, and he was a president, and the war was fought and won within 11 years of the founding of the Republican Party. That was how weak the Democrats were. But they did not give up. After this, they did not give up. They instituted the Jim Crow laws. There's a fallacy out there. A lot of people say, oh, the Jim Crow laws were whites keeping blacks from voting. Wrong. They were the Democrats, all white at that time, keeping all blacks from voting, because at that time every single black was Republican. So they could see, 5 people coming down the road to vote, 2 of them white. They go, we have no idea if they're Democrat or Republican. I guess we better let them sign in. But they'd see any blacks coming down the road. They go, oh, we know they're Republican. So, okay, Fred, bring out the jar of jelly beans. Make him guess how many jelly beans are in there. Make him write the 5th sonnet of Shakespeare's play, Midsummer Night's Dream, whatever it was. They knew that they could keep the blacks from voting. And again, it was Democrats keeping blacks from voting because all the blacks were Republican at that time. So when you see Joe Biden talking about Jim Crow 2.0, well, gee, Joe, I guess you kind of know what it is because you created Jim Crow 1.0. That's what you guys did. You were really good at that. Not only did they do that, in 1866, they proudly founded the terrorist arm of their party, which was the KKK. And what was the KKK job and role? Was to terrorize the newly emancipated slaves from doing anything, from everything from don't let them read. If you find a school teacher that is teaching them how to read, you will beat them or whip them, whatever they were doing at that time. These are really loving people. And it was all about continuing a type of segregation. So they said, okay, well, I guess if we can't keep them on a physical plantation, let's keep them on a virtual plantation of terror. And that's exactly what the KKK did on up until the 20th century. In fact, there is a classic picture of a KKK march down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., being watched by President Wilson, who again was a Democrat. He loved the KKK. The very first movie that was ever shown in the White House was called Birth of a Nation. That was the horrible movie, D.W. Griffith's, about the KKK. It was honoring it. It was lauding it as being, the most wonderful salvation for the South that you can possibly imagine. It portrayed the Black congressman, the newly elected Black congressman, by the way, every single one of them were Republican, as monkeys. And it was horrifying. And to this day, the Democrats have never denounced that movie ever. And again, it was the very first movie ever shown in a Democrat White House. So I could go on if you want, but do you have any questions?
Well, I'm agreeing with a lot of what you're saying, because there was a time when Biden was well linked with white supremacy, and had friends in it, but nobody talks about that. And so, the shaming, as soon as a certain position on the right, if they can't get them with just with the lies, or catch them in lies, then the go-to is they're racist. And so, but they wrote the book on being racist, and they're also the ones that continue to stroke the fire of racism, and to make sure that you stay angry due to racism. And so you're doing so much more. So what are you doing with reparations? What are you doing with it? Are you just educating, or what else is going on?
Well, keep in mind, we produced the original movie, which was Emancipation, Revelation, Revolution, about 17 years ago. Race was not even a discussion. No one had even heard of Barack Obama. I mean, no one was even thinking, it wasn't on anyone's radar at all. And I just felt led to do it. And because one big reason, as a Republican, I was tired of being called a racist. And I said, you know what? Why don't we expose the history of what true racism is in this country, and how far back it goes? Oh, and how it is consistent today. I'll just bring it forward a little bit. A lot of people have heard of Senator Robert Byrd from West Virginia. He was not only a member of the KKK, he was a recruiter of the KKK. Well, guess who spoke
Wow.
at his funeral? And he only died, maybe 10 years ago, whatever. Joe Biden spoke at his funeral. Barack Obama was at his funeral. Joe Manchin was at his funeral. So these are people honoring a man who was a leader of the KKK. Hillary Clinton says that he was her mentor. Christopher Dodd called him the conscience of the Senate. Think about that. Now, if he was a Republican, oh my gosh. I mean, they would have just thrown him in a hole and, maybe thrown some dirt over him. But no, they are honoring this man at his death and all the great things he did in his lifetime, including which, of course, would be being a member of the KKK. So how does that work? How can you continue to call Republicans racist when on up until today, into this moment, we have example after example of the Democrats being as racist as they can possibly be?
And exactly,
Including creating this virtual plantation that they have created for Blacks who, if you dare to get off this plantation and become like Candace Owens or Alveda King or Robert Woodson, or anyone that says, you know what, I forget the color of my skin.
Or me.
You do not need a spokesman thinking for you, because you can't think for yourself. And that's one of the biggest insults that I've seen in this entire racist movement that the left has sort of fomented, is the incredible insult to the Black community, and saying, well, you're too stupid to get a voter ID. You're too stupid to understand how to vote. You're too stupid. I'm on and on and on. You're going, do you people even hear yourselves?
And
people.
well, if you say a lie long enough, people start to believe it.
Yeah,
If you're
exactly. And you start to embrace that that victim mentality, which again is a virtual plantation that is erected around the hearts and minds of a specific group of people, and they're embracing that sense of what is the word I'm looking for? You're a victimhood, I guess,
Right.
and that is wrong. And so, if we can do anything, let's break down that barrier and say, no, I trust you, I believe you, whatever you say. I am not looking at yours. When I'm talking to you, this is an editorial you. I'm not looking at anyone's skin color. I'm listening to their heart and listening to their mind and what they're saying. I could care less what anyone's skin color is. We can't change that. That's how God made us. Now, what are we going to do with it? We're going to learn to get along. We're going to learn to respect each other and love each other the way God created us to do and be.
And
So,
I completely agree that it's Renaissance women's productions. Tell me about what you're doing with that.
well, we started out years ago I had a TV show called American Renaissance. And then so frustrated with the editing process that we taught ourselves how to edit, and we thought, oh, we can edit too and shoot. So then we started doing shorts, and then when the shorts, like short documentaries, basically, then we went into the long documentary, with the very first one being Emancipation, Revelation, Revolution, and the sequel being Reparations, Who Should Pay. But since then, we've gone into feature length movies, and the one that we did, which was so cute, it was a romantic comedy called First Lady. It was in all the theaters around the country, and unfortunately COVID hit.
Amazing.
We were frozen in the theaters, and it was so frustrating because it's very difficult for an independent film production house to get national distribution in theaters. So, but we have a wonderful TV series out called Daily Bread. It's post-apocalyptic. Solar flare knocks out electricity around the world, and people have to figure out how to survive, and not just survive, but thrive. And so what we wanted to do with that was get the millennials who are kind of stuck on their devices. Now at this point, everyone's stuck on their devices. Unplug them from that and see how they can make it without a cell phone.
I
So
don't know.
I know
I don't
that might,
know.
are we all going to survive, right? But no, we have a lot of fun with it. But when all the discussions started coming out with this reparations, I decided I would dust off Emancipation, Revelation, Revolution, and the sequel Reparations, Who Should Pay, which are already in the can. They're already there. It's not like I got to go out and produce anything. And let's have this discussion. If we really want to have it, let's have it.
You said Martin Luther King's dream has been realized, but not the way he imagined. What did you mean by that?
Well, the thing is that people really are being judged by the content of their character, but the judgment is harsh if you do not line up with the Democrat talking points.
Oh,
And so you see someone like Alveda King, who that was her uncle, of course. She is now she even said this. She says she's now living through a second civil rights movement. The first one was based on the color of her skin, and this one is based on the content of her character. Because if she identifies, and she does, with the Republican Party, she is vilified, she's marginalized, she's called all kinds of names. And the fact that she's choosing for herself is not good enough for the Democrats. You cannot choose for yourself if it goes against our dictates of what you should be choosing. And that's what we're seeing today. And that's why I'm speaking out. I'm speaking out as a fellow American with my Black community, and say, no, when you do that, when you marginalize one group of people, you're marginalizing all of us. And we have to stick up for each other. And that's my goal, basically. That's why I'm here.
I just asked somebody that I interviewed last week about if Martin Luther King Jr. was here today, what political party do you think he would be with?
Oh, he was a Republican, and we know for a fact that he was Republican. In fact, if you watch our movie, the wonderful story of John F. Kennedy and how he won the election, and it had to do with a statement that Daddy King said that the Democrats took and put in what they called the blue bomb. It was a flyer that they put out, and the point was that John F. Kennedy was told by his brother Robert Kennedy, who was very strong. I don't say racist, but he was very much a segregationist. very much segregated. He told his brother, John Kennedy, do not get involved with this race issue. Do not talk to Martin Luther King. Do not have anything to do with it. You will lose this race if you do that. So much for the image of the King or the Kennedy family being all about, equal rights and civil rights. No, had nothing to do with it. I don't want to do a spoiler alert on this. I would suggest everyone watch that our documentary. It's very, very profound. And basically, when Daddy King got a call from Kennedy because he said, don't get involved, he said, well, how about a call? Can I just call him and say, hey, I hope everything goes okay for you? So he calls Coretta. Coretta thanks him. She tells Daddy King, and Daddy King says, uh, anyone that will dry the tear from my daughter-in-law's eye deserves my vote. He was basically saying that to a friend. Well, they took that, the Democrats took that and ran with it. They distributed that in all the churches, basically saying that now Daddy King was a supporter of Kennedy. When he had taken out, think about this, he had taken out full page ads in support of Nixon because Kennedy was a Catholic. And he said, we cannot have the Pope running this country. This is Daddy King taking out against their Democratic Party because they were embracing a Catholic now as the president. So they misinterpreted and misstated what his intent was. And they really do think, everyone that was involved with that race really do think that glue bomb, they called it, made the difference in that election. And it was because of that one phone call, but he dared not see him in person, but he made the one phone call to Coretta Scott King. So it's a little bit of history right there, but there's a lot more to it. So I would just say, get the documentary, and it explains it all.
On a lighter note, we are seeing this emergence of indie producers and writers and stuff really getting out there that would not we wouldn't have access to 20 years ago. And so how is it, or how was it for a woman producer and writer to start breaking through some of those walls to get in?
It's weird. I never had any opposition. I never felt that I was competing with anyone. I was just doing my own thing. I love to write. And so I had several scripts that I'd written. I'd share them with my friends, a lot of friends in Hollywood. And like, for example, with First Lady, very dear friend is Nancy Stafford. Nancy was star of Matlock and St. Elsewhere. She was in a lot of TV shows, and Corbin Burnson, everybody knows Corbin. So I shared one of my scripts, the script First Lady, with them, and they said, oh, this sounds like fun. And she loved it. She really wanted to play that role. But we kind of lost touch with each other for a couple of years. And I was busy doing the TV show, and I was, making other shorts and other movies and things. And we ran into each other in an event where we were both speaking. And she said, Nina, whatever happened to First Lady? I just love the script. I really want to play the part of Kate Morales. And I said, I never heard back from you. I thought you didn't like it. She said,
Oh,
oh, and it was one of those ships passing in the night things. I said, so anyway, by the end of that weekend, we committed to doing it. We found 2 or 3 other people there at this conference that we thought would be perfect for different roles. We contacted Corbin. He loved the script. He wanted to do it. Within 6 weeks, we're filming. It was amazing. I mean, the
wow.
fact that it went so quickly was just a testimony to the fact that everyone loved the script. Everyone was wanting to play. They loved each other. We've done a lot of shorts and movies and things where we've all worked together, and it's like a family. So the whole point was, yay, we get the family back together. And we just had a blast. We had a blast filming it. And of course, we did all the editing and production. And the distributor that we got loved it. And we got international distribution. We actually were featured at Cannes Film Festival, which was pretty special. So we just look at making movies as having fun. I actually call it playing. I say, okay, who wants to play with us? Come play with us. We're playing again. And we just have a blast. I've never, ever had any issues with discrimination or having to break glass ceilings like poor little Hillary has to do.
Right.
Hillary, just get over it. Seriously. Have a glass ceiling over your head no matter where you go in life. Just deal with it. But most people don't have glass ceilings. They just, keep going up and, have fun with it.
Wow, wow. You are doing amazing things. Keep at it. So I shouldn't be looking for my reparation check in the mail.
No, what's going to happen? Here's what it is. I'll just tell you the bottom line of what this is. This is all their Marxist slash socialist ploy to redistribute wealth. That's what it is. It's basically to take from the rich, give to the poor, destroy the middle class, create a very, very strong lower class, dependent class on the government, and destroy the life savings of anyone in the middle class. So then you have the ruling class, the talented tenth, as W.E.B. Du Bois would talk them, and the 90% who are dependent upon these people to tell them what to do and how to live their lives.
And
They're
it's funny because the people that are trying to make this stuff happen, they're going to be rich and still have everything they need.
Exactly. And the people that are going to get their $250,000, they're going to be scammed out of that within a week. Someone's going to say, oh, let me help you invest it. Next thing you know, the rich are going to continue getting richer. And all these people that were believing this lie are going to be left with nothing. And it's going to continue to divide the nation. And we cannot have that. Just cannot have
And
that.
America hasn't been perfect by far, but the experiment that the people that came together to write the Constitution, the experiment is a magnificent one, and it is working. Yes, there's been hard times, there's been rough times that that there was Jim Crow, but as Americans, we figured it out. We figured it out, and we continue to fight for freedom for the people in the United States, no matter what color you are. We continue to fight, we continue to stand, and we continue to believe those principles that all, that our rights come from God. And so please, 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 please keep up fighting. Keep fighting. Do you have any burning things that you need to tell us that are coming out? I know we got the reparations, but I know you were working on some other things. What do we need to be out there seeing? What do we need to be supporting?
Well, I would have everyone question this horrible kangaroo court trial that just happened, the January 6th trial. It was a joke. It was a lie. If they do not release the 14,000 hours of security tape footage that was around the Capitol that day, then everything they say is irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything. They gave access to all that footage to one producer in Hollywood. We're all us producers are going, well, why can't we have access to it? And all he could come up with was about 2 minutes that proved their case out of 14,000 hours. So
Mm.
they're hiding something. They're absolutely
Of
hiding
course,
something.
that's what they do. That's what they do.
And I really do hope that they get to the bottom of it, because otherwise you've got at least 2 million people, because there were 2 million people there that have a target on their back that will be vilified. They'll have their doors busted in by a rogue FBI. They'll be marginalized and terrorized by this government if we don't get to the bottom of what really happened that day.
I
And
just
a lot of
I don't understand. I don't understand how people could burn down cities for months.
yeah,
Months are months. And if you dare question an election, which as an American you should be able to do, if you
exactly.
dare question an election that had people on video, coming up with suitcases of ballots and, shutting everything down and continuing to scan, that we can't question that. And we're targets now for the FBI and the government. This is not the country
That's right.
that things were founded on.
No,
Um,
that's exactly.
and Nina, thank you. Miss May, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you. It was wonderful to get to know you. I just
You
really,
as
really
well. And you be blessed and be blessed in all your endeavors. Thank you.
bless you. Bless you.